Today we're taking a look at set 2521 Lightning Dragon Battle from the Lego Ninjago theme containing 645 pieces. This set retailed for $80 US. Now if you want to purchase this set new, it's going to cost you an average of $633 US, and if you want to purchase it used, it's going to cost you an average of $228 US. Taking a look at our first minifigure, we have Cruncha. Starting from the top and working our way to the bottom, his helmet is inaccurate. Instead of this light gray, it should be a gunmetal gray or a black. The proportions on his head are a bit inaccurate as well. Either the face should be a little bit smaller or the helmet should be a little bit bigger. For his actual face, his pupils should be black. And this monocle here that he has is inaccurate. Cruncha doesn't actually have a monocle in the show. And adding this to this character, I feel like just doesn't make sense. Because in the show, he's more of a dumb character and he kind of rivals his counterpart Knuckles, so I don't think this monocle makes sense for this character. The rest of the face is accurate, of course. Moving on to his armor, this back gray piece here should be black instead on both sides of these fangs here. Then the wrappings on the armor should also be brown, as it's supposed to be makeshift armor. The Skulkin symbol here is accurate. His sash color, however, is inaccurate. It should be red instead of this gray color that he has going on here. Turning to the back, he should have red or more red sash printing going along the top here. And then he also comes with this gold sword, which I feel like it should have been a different color because gold just doesn't fit these Skulkin minifigures. He could have had more of a copper sword or a gray sword, just something besides this, because this doesn't make sense for these minifigures. And then he also comes with this spinner, which this spinner is mainly for the game. And if I can get that correctly here, let me get it a better, well, that's just gonna, there we go. This spinner is for the game. So the game is something separate from the show, but it still comes with this spinner for him as well. Taking a look at our second minifigure, we have Fraw, who is seen multiple times throughout the show. Now, starting with his face is accurate. His armor color is accurate as well. His armor printing is a little bit inaccurate, so this hole right here that's right above my fingernail should be completely black. Then the one right above my fingernail now should be completely black as well as the one right here above my fingernail. Those should all be filled and completely black. Now the Skulkin symbol here is accurate. His sash color and printing is accurate as well. Moving to the back, he should have some sash printing along this top area here that is the same as the front, so red. And then he also comes with a helmet. Now this helmet is not canon to him, but for this particular set it's perfect for him because he is the pilot of our Skulkin vehicle. Now he also comes with this weapon, and I think I would have preferred to see a bone axe or a spear instead of this mace. Moving on to our third minifigure for the set, we have Sensei Wo in this black kimono, which is mainly seen in the mini movies. Now, starting from his head, moving down his torso, his face is accurate to what's seen in the show. His beard is pretty accurate as well. Then moving on to the actual torso, we're going to take off his head and his beard here. If I can yank it off here, it's a little bit, there we go. His actual torso, this shirt right here should be a lot wider. And there's also a big gap here, which is more of a quality issue than an inaccuracy, but that is there nonetheless, if you can get a better look at it there. These symbols here are a bit inaccurate as well. It's mainly the first, the third, and the fourth symbol that are the inaccurate ones. The other two are accurate, and I believe the issue here is just how small the printing is. If they would have moved some of this stuff a little bit more to the left, they could have fit some of this portion in, and these third and fourth symbols are just, this area is just so small to print on. And then the legs down here is just such a difficult area to print on as well, just because how that shaped. Then the sash color here, along with the sash that is coming from the torso, is all accurate. Moving to the back, we have some back torso printing, which is very nice and is accurate to what's seen in the show. Then we can go back to having him fully geared up with his beard, his head, and his hat, which is canon to him. Finally, he also comes with a staff, which you really do see him use a lot. The only thing is about this staff, I think, is the color, I think, should be a little bit different. He uses more of a like a tannish bamboo looking staff, so this one's just a brown staff, but it works nonetheless. Taking a look at our final minifigure, we have JDX. Going from his face down to his legs, his face is accurate, his torso is mostly accurate. The only inaccuracy is the eye of the dragon should be black instead of this darker gold color they have going for it. His sash color should be more of a greenish color, which it's more of a darkish blue color. His left leg printing should be a little bit lower on this end. It should end a little bit lower. His right leg printing should also be a little bit lower on this left side, and on this right side the tail should end a little lower. Going to his side, he should have some side leg printing at least. I know they don't do torso printing, but the side leg printing should have been there. And we should also on the back have some side torso printing indicating the back of the dragon. Now the symbol and name are accurate for J being back there, but the one inaccuracy that we have is that there is no, in the show there's an outline around the symbol and the name, a black outline, and as well as the eyes being filled with black. Now here J is fully geared up with this mask, and he also comes with a black sword, which it's okay. I would have preferred some like gray nunchucks just in case, but a black sword is fine. And then we also have the nunchucks of lightning, which again, the molds for these could have been way better, but these suffice for what they are. Finally, moving on to one of the main portions of the set, we have the Skulk and Chopper. Now, this is in no way canon to anything that we see in the show. This is completely made by the designers of the set, and I think it's great. I think it's a good addition to this particular set, even though it's not canon. Now, taking a look at it, it's got a good design to it. I like the colors on it. I wish it had more purple, but that's just me. Taking a look at the cockpit area first, we can see that it's just the area where the minifigure just sits in, and that's okay. I just wish it would have more detail in this area, maybe a panel or some type of lever to control, to control the chopper. So that's one thing that I would have wished they did differently with this. But for the most part, it's still a great set, and it has play features in it, which is even better. So one of the main play features is this crank here that allows you to go up and down with this little hook on the bottom, and this is great. It's a great addition, a great play feature, because it just allows you to be more creative as a kid, capturing certain minifigures in here. So if we get J here and we put him in here and we try to close this up, see if we can do this without messing up too much. So we close that, right, and it is on a hook here, so you can take this off if you want. I don't really like taking it off, but we'll leave it at that. It is a little bit of a tight spot to get into, I will say that, and these little fire pieces do fall off pretty easily, so I wish there was a better way to secure that, but it's not too big of a deal. But again, here is the play feature. So you got a minifigure in there, you could pretend to capture them, and that's just a great addition to this set, to this portion of the set. Another addition here, and there goes the other side. Again, that design could have been a lot better, or they could have left those off, but you could always take them off yourself if you want. So moving that minifigure to the side, we also have this play feature of these missiles here, flick fire missiles. So the way they work is you essentially have them positioned so that you can flick them here. So you flick them at the enemy and they work as essentially flick fire missiles. Now this was their best design at the time in terms of something that you could shoot at minifigures, besides the blast ball that is inside the mouths of the dragons. So I don't really mind this design too much, but I would have preferred something different, as nowadays you have some other stuff that works a little bit differently and way better. So, but nonetheless, this design is still great for something that's not canon to the show. I mean, just look at it. It fits the Skulkin army perfectly. You got, you got these bone like structures down here as landing gear, a bone skull here, and look at how it looks. It just looks really great. So this portion of the set is already off to a great start. Finally, we have the lightning dragon. Now we're going to work our way from the front to the back of the dragon. So we will bring him in for a closer look here. Taking a look at his head first. His lower jaw should be a dark blue, and that includes these beard-like structures underneath his jaw. For his mouth, we do not have a reference for his tongue, but this gunmetal gray works, and a deep blue would have worked as well. For his blast that he has in his mouth, this color works as well. It's pretty close to what lightning would look like, I feel like. Then moving to his head, he does not have all of these designs in his head in the show. None of this yellow markings of lightning, none of that. Instead, he's just kind of different shades of blue. For his eye, his iris and his pupil are one solid color of red, a glowing red, and then around his eye he has whites. Then moving on to this plane up here, which I will show you. This plane right here, along with going all the way up here, should be a dark blue, the same as the lower jaw. Moving on from the head, or actually, before we move on, these chains should be a little bit lower as well. Then, now moving on from the head, we actually get a neck on this dragon. Now, the neck on this dragon, however, is a bit inaccurate. The main thing being the mount on the neck is inaccurate. First, these barrels, which are on both sides, should not be here at all. The mount area is very inaccurate, as it doesn't have the appearance of a chair. So first, this piece right here should not be here at all. If this were to be a chair, this portion would be a lot taller than these two side areas. Now, another thing is these chains on both sides are actually attached to a baton, which its rider, Jay, grabs onto to steer the dragon. And we just don't have that. Another thing about this mount is that the banners, which are located back here, the banner holders, I should say, are actually attached to the back of the mount in the show, and we do not have that here. So that is another inaccuracy, along with the, if I can get this in frame, the symbols here are inaccurate as well to what is seen in the show. From there, we can move on to the body, which this is going to be a little bit harder to look at. Oops, that came off a little bit. We'll push that right back in. So let me see if I can get a better angle here. I'll move this, and we'll talk about this later as well. I'll move this like this. So looking at the body, there is a couple of things that we can talk about. First, the color of the body. It varies in different scenes, but for the most part, a dark blue is what you see, so that works. These spears up here are inaccurate, and as I said before, the location of these banners here are inaccurate as well, so those should not be there at all. The next thing is these spikes going down the back. For the most part, they are accurate. The only thing that I would have changed, or should have changed based on the show, is that these there should be some white spikes mixed in there, with a variety of sizes going down the back. Now, another thing here is the build of the dragon, which is accurate again. First, the size of this upper portion is accurate. That one is the biggest portion in the show. Then it gets skinnier here, which this is accurate as well. And then it gets a little bit bigger here in the back, which I know it's a little bit hard to see on camera. I'm trying to do my best here. But this, of course, is still bigger than the middle, but less big than this portion up here, which is accurate to this dragon. Next, from there, we move on to the wings. Now, let me get these in a better position. So, for the wings, let's see if I can get a better angle here by picking it up. For the wings, right? There should not be any gray or any black in here at all. Instead, those pieces should have been changed out with a dark blue, such as this right here. Then from there, the spears, which are present on both sides, should not be there at all. From there, the wings. These long pieces, I personally consider these as the muscle of the dragon. Now, this matters because in the show, the muscle of the dragon is a dark blue, such as this. And here we get a light blue. So instead of this, what should have been the design for this, I should say, is this should be a dark blue such as this. And then the inside in here should be a bright light blue, not quite like this color, a little bit brighter than this with more blue in it. And we just don't get that. Unfortunately, they didn't have things such as cloth wings at the time, which would have been a great addition to this, but we just didn't get that. Another inaccuracy here is these claws, these gold claws coming out of the wings. Those, instead of being gold, should be white. And there shouldn't be this many of them. There should be 2 right around the hand area. And then the other one should be a little bit more spread out with less of these, of course, because there's just kind of a cluster. Then finally, the hand, instead of being this gold that we have here, should be a yellow. It should be a yellow claws that we have here. Moving on from the wings, of course, we have the legs. Now let me move this up a little bit so we can get these out of the way. So looking at these legs, you could probably notice what the biggest issue with these is, and that is the size of them. These legs are very small and they shouldn't be. The dragon in the show has joints, which he bends at his free will, of course. So these legs are definitely too small for this dragon. Another thing is the color scheme of these. There should be no gray, there should be no black. The leg, for the most part, is a dark blue color, again, just like how the lower jaw should have been. And we just don't get that. Another thing about these legs, besides the size and the color, is the design. There should be more kind of these light blue spikes kind of going around the leg. Of course, we don't get that due to the size, but it is nonetheless an inaccuracy with this dragon. Moving from the legs, we have the tail. Now, another thing with the tail is, of course, that it should not have any gray or black in it. Now, the tail only has black in it, but again, it should not have that at all. The spikes going down the back are accurate again, for the most part, except the fact that there should be white spikes in there of different varying sizes for variety, which is shown in the show. The final thing with this dragon, really, is the tail. Instead of the tail having this purple in here, it should have the other side just be a translucent blue like this right here. So that's kind of a shame that we couldn't have gotten that, but it is nonetheless a choice made by the designers. Now, before we look at the set as a whole, I want to show you the one play feature you get with this dragon, and I want to talk about the mobility of it. So first, the play feature is the same that we have gotten with the other dragons, where you have a shooting mechanism in his mouth, and of course, you can pretend that you are shooting a battalion, a Skulkin battalion. So here is the play feature, and I'll try not to shoot it too far, or Okay, I was just making sure I knew where it went, but that is a play feature. And of course, again, you can imagine kids would love this feature. I love this feature. You know, you can imagine taking out some skulking enemies, shooting some type of fortress. You know, it just a lot of possibilities with that play feature, and I love it. Moving on from the play feature, I said I wanted to talk about the mobility of this dragon because they really did a good job with this mobility. First, look, the head, the look at that turn, and if you can't get it further than that, turn this. It's just amazing. Like the mobility there, it just adds so much dynamics to it. You can't really turn it up unless you turn the whole thing. So that is kind of a disadvantage there, but there is already so much mobility there that it's not that big of a deal. From there, we go to, okay, the legs, kind of bad, right? But from there, we go to the wings. The wings, you can flap them up and down, and then right here as well. It just adds so much to, you know, the dynamics of this dragon, especially if you're playing with it. You can just do this flying motion essentially, right? So that already just great, amazing. From there, the body, you can turn this dragon, you know, you can make it sway. You can, you know, turn the dragon, make it stand on some legs with a couple of adjustments, of course, to make it look correct when you're doing that. But just the mobility of the dragon is really it's just amazing. It's far beyond what we have gotten for the other dragons that I have reviewed so far. So again, the feature, great. And really, that's the only feature you need for this dragon because the mobility is so great for it. So again, here we have everything that you get from buying the Lightning Dragon Battle. Remember, it was 645 pieces for 80 US dollars. My personal opinion on this is, first, starting with the minifigures, I think we have a great selection of minifigures here. I would have liked to see probably one more Skulkin minifigure just to add a little bit more to the Skulkin force. Mainly because obviously they're facing a dragon. A helicopter is not going to be enough to take down a dragon. A helicopter and one dude, right? So one more Skulkin minifigure would have probably been perfect for me personally. It doesn't even have to be a big character. It could have been any of the small characters. Chopov, you know, Knuckle would have been a good addition here, as well as he is part, you know, he's Cruncha's buddy, you know. So in the minifigure department, they nailed it. And personally, I would have wanted one more Skulkin minifigure. That's it for the minifigure department. And you know, this as well, this we could have done without. You could throw this out, add a minifigure, and we're good, right? The next thing, the set itself. What can I say, dude? It's an excellent set. The chopper, even though it's not canon, it's amazing. I think it's a great design. It fits the Skulkin army perfectly. The colors, of course, I would have liked more purple in there, but you know, even that is not that big of an issue. The dragon, even though it only has one play feature, the mobility on this dragon, you know, it's just so nice. Yes, it's very inaccurate, but a lot of the dragons are, so that's not that big of a deal. The one thing I would have preferred they did, even if it was still inaccurate, I would have liked for the legs to be, you know, 2 studs larger, 2 studs longer at least. They wouldn't have to go the extra mile of giving it joints and all that stuff. Just make them 2 studs taller, because in my opinion, he's a little bit too low. And I think one more thing maybe is this neck area. I feel like I would have liked it, instead of moving side to side in the back here, trying to maybe give it area to move up and down instead, or connect it with another ball joint like this as well, so you yourself could do that. I think that there would have been another great addition. But overall, this set for a retail value of 80 US dollars, I personally think this was worth it back in the day. Now, again, this is back in the day. Now, it's going to cost you what? An average of $633 new and an average of $228 used. It's a lot of money. I will say that if you want to get this set and you have the funds, get it used, obviously. Unless you just have a crazy amount of money, you're wealthy, you're doing great in life, get it new, have that experience of building it new. I'm sure that would be a great time. But for others, if you don't want to drop $600, 600 plus on this set right here is great, dude. I would have paid $80 back in the day for it if I had the money, if I had the common sense as an 11-year-old to just buy the set. I would have bought it. But if you want to pay the money, if this set is something that's calling your name, if this review has helped you any, I would say make the purchase, as long as as long as you have the money and you're able to make the purchase, right? This is an excellent set. I would say this is the best set I've rated on my channel as of now, right? The best Lego Ninjago pilot set I have rated at the moment. It's just excellent, and I wouldn't really change much about it, to be honest. Now, again, if you stuck around until the end, comment what you think about my opinions. What opinions do you have? Subscribe if you are enjoying the content, please. And I will see you guys in the next one.